Mama wanna get it, mama wanna get it nice. Come back way, come back way. I know food and meso, I know food and tele, I know kaya mari. Come back way, don't you come? When don't you come? Who's that? Come back way, I know kaya mari. Come back way, come back way, mari. Come back way, entertainment, current affairs and news. Come back way, don't you come?
Right, 13 June 2021, and today I want to quickly go through a report by the World Bank. It's the Zimbabwe Economic Update, which was produced last week. That is June 2021. Very, very fresh, very, very current. And what I want to do is I want to wrap this up in less than 10 minutes. And I have put the report on gavaco.com. If you go now to gavaco.com, you will see the full 62-page report by the World Bank. And what is very interesting to me about this report is that it is praising the efforts by the government of Zimbabwe, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, the Minister of Finance, all the efforts that they've put into turning around the economy before the pandemic in 2019, during the pandemic now, 2020 and 2021, and then it's giving an overview of what should be done to sustain this growth that is expected. So in summary, they are looking at the period in 2019 where things got very, very bad. And then in 2020, when there were all those lockdowns, things went really bad. Inflation hit over 800% in Zimbabwe. And now they are saying going into 2022, in fact, in 2021, the inflation in Zimbabwe is going to be around 86%. And this is an incredible turnaround that has been happening in Zimbabwe. So let's quickly look at what the report says. And as I said, you can go to gavaco.com to read the full report. You just click on top of the report and you'll be able to scroll through the report. So let me start with the people from Zimbabwe who are in this report. So there are some Zimbabweans who wrote this report. Obviously, the leadership is not Zimbabwean. There are a lot of people who are not Zimbabwean who wrote this report. But the senior economist here was Obed Pimidzai, program assistant Farai Sekramai, graphic design Cyril Mabadza, macroeconomics Marco Kwaramba. I didn't see anyone in poverty analysis, monetary section, and then healthcare was Chenjerai Sisimai, social protection was Ruth Utete, and Tafuma Jongwe did the education analysis. There was also Esther Chugumira who did food security. So this report was written by a lot of people, the Zimbabwe Economic Update, but these are the Zimbabweans who were there. From the names, I could tell that there were some Zimbabweans in here. And as I said, they praised the efforts of the Minister of Finance, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, especially the efforts that took place in 2020. There was a massive effort to turn around the economy. And then going forward, they are also proposing a number of things. So let's start with the key points. The report is on gavaco.com. If you go to page 62, you get the key points there. And if you go to page 61, you get a summary of all the proposed actions that should be taken by the government of Zimbabwe. So as I said, the report covers the pandemic period 2020 to 2021 and the pre-pandemic period 2019. And then growth will accelerate in 2022. So what they're saying is that in 2021, growth is going to be about 3.9%. And if we go back to 2020 or 2019, there was actually a recession of about 8%. So the economy shrunk during that period. And then going into 2022, they expect growth to be about 5.1%. I'm going to be talking more about that as we go forward, my thoughts on that. And then also, they identify why things went wrong in 2019, specifically the quasi-physical activities of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. When we talk about subsidies on fuel, the price of fuel was wrong. It was subsidized. They were supporting the gold miners. They were discounting treasury bills, which were held by private players. So these are what they identified as the problems. Annual inflation in 2019, 557%, and the Zimbabwe dollar lost 70% of its value. And then 7.9 million Zimbabweans were poor, or they were living below the poverty datum line in 2019. This has all turned around. And as I said, it all peaked in 2020. All the problems in Zimbabwe peaked in 2020 when inflation hit 800%. But then the government stepped in and they put in the stabilization program. And this, obviously, I can't summarize it here in 10 minutes. You have to go in and watch or read the report to understand. So let's go into looking into the future. As I said, this year, growth will be 3.9%. Next year, growth will be 5.1%. That is 2022. And the agricultural sector in Zimbabwe is expected to spearhead growth. So growth is going to come from agriculture in Zimbabwe. To sustain all this turnaround, what has happened so far? The government of Zimbabwe needs to improve revenue collection. They need to eliminate subsidies. They need to keep wages under inflation, and they need to reduce policy inconsistencies. They need to restructure and privatize state-owned enterprises, and they need to discontinue forex retention policies. So this is what the report says in short. The key risks is that the third wave could hit, and I think the government of Zimbabwe is doing already a lot. They've gone to a point where they've started locking down as we speak. Yesterday, they announced that there's not going to be any more public gatherings. So I think they're doing a good job there. Other important factors for growth: re-engagement with the international partners, prudent fiscal policies, and rule-based monetary and foreign exchange policies. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe must limit money supply growth by reducing quasi-physical activities, and there should be more policies supporting structural transformation, such as the removal of forex retentions, and then reforms in the recently approved National Development Strategy must be prioritized. Right, I think all the people that understand economics, they get this. They are talking here, the World Bank is praising the policies which have been put in place at the RBZ, and also the policies put in place by Minister Mthuli Ncube. However, I want to go into what is missing. So as I wrap up, I want to go into what is missing. Firstly, I do not think this report touches sufficiently on the impact of sanctions on Zimbabwe. I think almost all Zimbabweans agree the sanctions on Zimbabwe have to be removed if the economy of Zimbabwe has to do well. And this is not appearing anywhere in this report. So these are some of the things that I do not think the World Bank would talk about. But as a Zimbabwean, it's important for us to say, how do we deal with the issue of sanctions? And I'm going to go into that in a little while. Then secondly, the report did not sufficiently compare the situation in Zimbabwe to other surrounding countries. Mozambique, Botswana, Lesotho, Swaziland, Malawi, Zambia, South Africa. I looked at the comparison. There was one or two places where they compared it. I don't think they did a lot of comparison. I think South Africa, for instance, got a lot of support. South Africa had a 500 billion stimulus package. And Zimbabwe, I don't think they had that much. So that is something that is missing in this report. And then I want to go into the the structural issues in Zimbabwe. I do not think this report addressed the actual structural issues in Zimbabwe. The problem in Zimbabwe is production. And what do I mean when I say production? There are lots of gaps in Zimbabwe. The industries or supply chain sections that do not exist in Zimbabwe. And we therefore depend on imports. The Zimbabwean economy cannot recover if you do not address the issue of imports. So our banking sector in Zimbabwe is basically South African. If you look at our retail sector, it's South African. Our transport sector is basically South African. Of course, there's a lot happening on the Zimbabwean side in terms of transport, but basically everything you're doing in Zimbabwe is South African. If we need to fix this economy of Zimbabwe, we then need to say, how do we substitute everything that we buy in South Africa with products that are made in Zimbabwe? That is step one. Step two, how do we start making things in Zimbabwe, a small country, and sell into a bigger country, which is next to us, which is South Africa, which is Mozambique. When I was in Mozambique, they are importing tissue paper from Portugal, paper towels, kitchen towels. There's a lot of gaps. We've got mineral resources in Zimbabwe. How do we make those work? I think this report, they are a bit defensive. So what I'm saying here is that they are talking about what is existing. The growth of 5% in Zimbabwe is not going to take us anywhere. Zimbabwe needs a growth of at least 50% a year for 10 years to come back where we're supposed to be, coming into, let's say, 1990. From 1990 to where we are now, we need at least a growth of 50% a year. And that would take a lot of differences, a lot of change in the way we do things. And this is not appearing in this report. They also do not properly address how Zimbabwe can grow a middle class. We are lacking a middle class in Zimbabwe. We are lacking a proper financial sector that can support growth. And growth comes from consumption. At the moment, there's no way you can have consumption when there is no proper financial sector in Zimbabwe, because people can't borrow. If people can't borrow, they can't build. If people can't build, they can't finance. It's a whole chain that needs to be reconfigured in Zimbabwe. And I think this report, very, very conservative, talking about what is existing, but not reimagining the situation in Zimbabwe. Now, let me conclude. So as I said, the recommendations are defensive. They just want to keep it where it is. But we need 50% growth. So our politicians have to do a lot compared to what this report is saying. The report is saying they're doing a good thing. They're keeping it stable. How do you grow it by 50%? How do you grow that economy of Zimbabwe by 50%? That's the question for the politician, for the RBZ, for the people in the Ministry of Finance. Now, let's go to what else needs to be done. It's not economic. The issues in Zimbabwe are political. So the politicians need to do a lot more. What do the politicians need to do? At the moment, everyone is sitting and watching. And I think there needs to be more to be done. The political reforms in Zimbabwe, they need to happen. In fact, we need to get to a point where we depoliticize the environment in Zimbabwe. It's too politicized. Everyone wants to benefit. If the economy is not doing well, well, the other one is saying the economy is doing well. So we need to depoliticize our economy because it is suffering greatly. And that is not reflected here in this report. I don't know if the World Bank talks about political factors, but I didn't see it here. Also, I don't know how far they can go in their reports in terms of political factors. Then I went back to the issue of the SMEs. How do you grow the SMEs in Zimbabwe? When we talk of SMEs, we're talking here about companies that produce at least $1 million a year. We need more of those. And at the moment they're not there, the support is not there. If you look at the countries like South Africa, they're hubs. In Zimbabwe, I don't know if there's any hub. And also, as I always say, the role of ZIDA, they are focused very much outwards, looking outwards. How do we grow the economy locally? How do we grow our construction industries, our manufacturing industries, our tourism industries, and our financial sector? We internally, before we look outside, look at our tourism sector in Zimbabwe. It's all focused on Victoria Falls. There's a lot more that needs to happen. Matopos, Nyanga, Great Zimbabwe, all those areas, there are opportunities there from tourism. And at the moment, those opportunities are not being taken. Those are low-hanging fruits which are not being taken. But I do not want to take away from this report. This report is saying the government of Zimbabwe is doing very, very well. They've turned around the economy. The forex auction system, they specifically mentioned that that was a very, very good intervention by the minister. And also, they've mentioned that the closure of the money transfer, mobile money transfers, and the suspension of the old mutual implied rate when they suspended the old mutual from the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. That was a very, very good move. So the government of Zimbabwe has been given a thumbs up here for the work that they did 2019, 2020, 2021, and they're going to start benefiting with an accelerated growth in 2022. But as far as I'm concerned, the growth of 5% is not enough. We need growth of 50%, and that requires more from the politicians, not what is happening now. What is happening now is just keeping the lights on. We need a turnaround. So let me quickly look at the comments. Syndicates. I think that is cheap change. I'm always saying this. The issue of syndicates, $6 million US, I don't even want to talk about it. Here in South Africa, they were given 50 billion for PPEs and they stole all of it. Don't worry about corruption. It will never go away. Even if you go to America now, there's corruption. So let's go to something. So I want you guys to understand. The guys from outside are seeing the good work that we're doing. The politics, it must be left to the politicians. We need people that do business. And this is where I'm talking about the middle class, the SMEs. That is where the focus should be. Let's go to, right, Elton. Politics aside, there was an improvement in our economy. I do agree with you, the economy has improved. But I'm always saying, we need to see this at an individual level. We want to see a point when there's so much money in the economy, when young people can buy houses, when I can withdraw cash in the bank. I want to see that happening. I don't know why it is difficult to sort this out. I want to be able to walk to Barclays. I used to come here, from here, and go to Zimbabwe. When I get to Masvingo, I step out of my car, I go in there, withdraw $500 at Barclays Bank, Masvingo. Then when I finish that money, I will go to CBZ in Arundel or wherever, and I'll go in there, withdraw cash. And when I finish there, I'll go to the industrial areas there near Kotko, and I withdraw money. Now, when I go to Zimbabwe, I have to carry money around. It's very informal. And I think this is where we need to sort it out. We need to sort out the economy so that it's natural, it's normal. Things are happening the way that they're supposed to do. Then let's look at, right, I want to look at Majoni. It starts with you, my brother Gambakwe. If you want this import business to stop, you guys in SA should come back home. Human resources first. I do not agree with you. We don't have to come back home. That is what I'm saying. We need to work together. The guys at home, the guys in South Africa, the guys in UK, the guys in New Zealand and Australia. There are so many ways we can connect together. Let me tell you why we can't come home. Some of us, for loans, our children are going to school here in these countries. And it's difficult. It's not a decision that I can take in one day to come to Zimbabwe. And all of us cannot be in Zimbabwe. But what we can do is to start putting money into Zimbabwe. At the moment, it's very, very difficult to put money in Zimbabwe. There are no formal ways of putting money into Zimbabwe. I can send money for my parents to buy bread, to pay school fees, to fuel their car. But I want to be able to send money to Zimbabwe to invest. At the moment, that is not there, that is not available. We need a window, a doorway, where people in Zimbabwe and people in the diaspora can work together and invest. We need to see apartments coming up in Zimbabwe, which I can buy and pay using a debit order in my bank in South Africa. I want to see a business opportunity with a partner in Zimbabwe that I can trust, that I can work with. This is where we need to go. The SMEs, the small and medium enterprises. This is where the next opportunity is for Zimbabwe. And that is where growth is going to come from. Growth comes from consumption. Zimbabweans don't have money at the moment. People in Zimbabwe don't have money. They are finishing all their money on imports from South Africa. So there's nothing that you're making in Zimbabwe right now. That is why money is not flowing in Zimbabwe. And also, the financial system is not working. I cannot buy online in Zimbabwe. So if I've got my money, what do? I send it to Western Union, or I send it to Mukuru. They charge me 12% to send my money into Zimbabwe. Do you know how much money we are losing on these bank charges? It's astronomical. And I think this is not even reflected. This report spoke about the growth of remittances in formal ways, but they did not even mention how much money the country is losing through these charges that were being charged over here in South Africa or in the UK. I want to end with Good Shepherd, Leo. I like the fact that we have less production in Zimbabwe. That's true. We need to work on production so we have less importation. And I think this has been said by the government. However, I do not think they've put in place enough measures to make this work. The gaps in the Zimbabwe's economy are too many. The Zimbabwe's economy is only producing the primary goods. And if you want to start production, you first of all need to put your economy online. So at the moment, Zimbabwe's economy is in the shadows. So you need to put everything online. All the goods that are in Zimbabwe, all the producers, all the hotels, everything that is in Zimbabwe, everything that is available for sale must be online. Every Zimbabwean should have access to the internet. They should have access to Wi-Fi in the home, not this internet that we have where you buy $1 a day. You need to properly sort out your internet. You need to properly sort out your payment methods. How do you pay online? And then you need to put a financial sector that will support trade. So if I want to buy something, even if it's in bond notes, I should be able to use my card online and pay for it. If you do that, immediately your economy is going to start improving because everything has moved online. And in Zimbabwe at the moment, we are not online. All those people that are being demolished, who are selling cars, who are selling little goods on the street, if you put them online, they'll start selling to each other on Shopify, they'll start selling on WooCommerce, they'll start selling on each other on websites. At the moment, they're having to go and stand out in the sun. Schools in Zimbabwe, they're teaching manual methods. And this report also talked about that. The education in Zimbabwe was highly impacted by the COVID. If you put everything online, if the government of Zimbabwe prioritizes setting up the online, the internet in Zimbabwe, so that each home has internet, the economy is immediately going to grow by at least 50%. Right. I want to just end here. Please go to gambakwe.com and please look at the full report. I know it's very difficult to read through a 62-page report, but I try to give myself time. If you can't read the full report, just read the summary. It's not a long summary. And I like to appreciate everyone who worked on this report, especially the Zimbabwean guys. I want to know who are the Zimbabwean guys who work at the World Bank. I know I've got a friend who works there. the World Bank, sorry. And I see a lot of young guys here. Maybe there's a Zimbabwe division, but Zimbabweans are doing a lot of good work. We just need to get out from this politics. Everyone is just talking about politics. We need to depoliticize our environment. And as I said, we are going into a new phase within the next 10 years. We're going into a new phase that is irreversible, a new phase of change, which will result in most of us, if we're lucky, we're going to see a totally changed and different Zimbabwe in terms of the economy. It's unavoidable. We all have to work. We're going to be forced to work together. And if we don't work together, the system is just going to eliminate us. Because the things that we're looking at, the past, is gone. Everyone needs to look to the future. And I think even other bodies, international bodies like the World Bank, they see the opportunity in Zimbabwe. There's so much opportunity there. And if you're a Zimbabwean, you should start thinking about how you pick up an opportunity so that you don't miss out. Right? I'm so happy that I've covered this in 26 minutes. I was hoping to do it under 30 minutes, and it's done. So thank you very much for watching. Please go and look at the Zimbabwe Economic Update by the World Bank, which was produced this week. It has really excited a lot of people, and I like these reports when they come out. Thank you very much, and good night.